Hello, welcome to chapter 1 of the Pipe and Coffee book club. 1841. I'm sure you're wondering why this is interesting, what makes this this year something worth talking to, especially on our first official content-based episode. And really, in 1841, briar pipes were still a little ways away. Okay, we're just a few years away from briar being used to make tobacco pipes. But at the time, clay pipes, German style pipes, wooden pipes, meerschaum pipes, they were commonly used. They were commonly used across Europe. And the small town of Saint-Claude in eastern France, which was ultimately going to be the source of briar pipes, would ultimately become the birthplace, had at least 3 pipe manufacturers employing over 20 people at the time, all making briar pipes to be sent all around Europe. In fact, the family that ultimately started manufacturing briar pipes, the Comoys family, which actually, you can still buy Comoys pipes. The Chacon pipes also came from this lineage. Ultimately, you would know Comoys as Comoys of London, but it actually started in Saint-Claude. They started manufacturing briar pipes. But at this time, 1841, they were making clay, they were making boxwood, they were making beech pipes. But that's a story for another day. There was a lot going on with pipes, and there was a lot of cool things going on in France with pipes, but that really wasn't the coolest thing going on in France, or at least the coolest story going on in France at the time. Coffee had a bit more going on, and primarily in Glasgow, Scotland. Okay, like in 1841, a young man by the name of David Thompson opened up a shop on St. Vincent Street. He began roasting coffee, and at the same time, he started actually manufacturing these really interesting little coffee machines called the Naperian vacuum coffee pot. This was named after the guy that invented it, James Napier. But this early brewer actually brought coffee into the homes of people around the world. At the same time, his shop actually became an integral part of Glasgow's vibrant coffee scene. Now, this brand changed names and changed hands a few times. There is a thread that can be followed throughout. In fact, if you follow the website for Thompson's Coffee, you can still actually purchase Thompson's Coffee. In fact, the most recent iteration of the shop is in the West End of Glasgow and is named 1841. But as interesting as this is, this installment isn't even about coffee, because something even more important in the pipe, coffee, and literary scene happened in 1841. So what was the landmark thing that happened? Well, almost 183 years ago to the day, a short story appeared in Graham's Magazine of Philadelphia that completely changed the literary world forever. It can be argued that had this story not been written and printed, there would be no Maigret, no Sherlock Holmes, no Hercule Poirot. And the author of this short story was none other than the great horror writer, Edgar Allan Poe. The title of the work was Murder at the Rue Morgue, and it was the first of 3 stories that feature a detective by the name of C. Auguste Dupin. And Poe termed his method ratiocination, which is very closely akin to Sherlock Holmes's deductive reasoning. In fact, it included combining intellect, inference, and imagination in the solving of a crime. Another parallel to these, to the Sherlock Holmes canon stories, was that with Sherlock Holmes being told from his friend, from the perspective of his friend Dr. Watson, Dupin's exploits were also told from the point of view of his sidekick, who actually remained unnamed throughout the stories. In hopes that you will find copies, there's a number of them. This is a reprint that includes all 3 of the stories. You can find them just about anywhere. You can probably even find them online. But I don't want to go too deeply into the plots, because I want you to find these and I want you to read these. I want you to appreciate these like I have. But I will say, as a biologist, Murder at the Rue Morgue has a similar issue that I had with Conan Doyle's Speckled Band, where it leaves me as a biologist that understands a little bit about animal behavior, leaves me with some serious questions. If you read it, you'll actually figure out what I'm talking about. So this story and the ones that followed in 1842 and 1844, by all accounts, they were well received by the public, and they influenced an entire genre of stories, books, and movies that we probably all enjoy. I mean, we really wouldn't be reading Sherlock Holmes had Edgar Allan Poe not penned these stories of the great Auguste Dupin. So in 1841, the detective story was born. Saint-Claude, France had at least 3 pipe shops making pipes for most of Europe and employing 20 plus people. And the good Mr. Thompson was roasting coffee in Glasgow and peddling a fancy new coffee machine. So I think this was a good year to start the actual content part of our of this YouTube video, whatever I'm doing with this, right? So I hope you enjoyed this content. I hope to get a little bit better with presenting as we move forward. But with that, I hope you learned a little bit. I certainly did from putting this together. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.